The transport shuttle lurched as it docked with the orbital station, and Marcus Webb gripped his seat restraints with white knuckles. 3 months ago, he had been a cargo hauler running supplies between Earth colonies. Now he found himself summoned to Diplomatic Station 7 for reasons nobody would explain. The airlock hissed open, revealing a corridor bathed in the soft blue luminescence typical of mixed-species habitats. Marcus stepped through, his boots magnetic clamping to the deck plating. A protocol officer waited for him, a thin man with nervous eyes, who immediately began leading him deeper into the station without introduction. "Am I in some kind of trouble?" Marcus asked. The officer shook his head but said nothing, which Marcus found distinctly unhelpful. They passed through 3 security checkpoints before arriving at a chamber that looked more like a courtroom than a greeting area. Seated at a long table were representatives from half a dozen species, a crystalline vorlith, 2 of the insectoid clique, and several others Marcus couldn't immediately identify. But his attention fixed on the woman sitting at the center. She appeared humanoid, with pale skin that seemed to shimmer faintly under the lights. Her hair fell in midnight waves past her shoulders, and her eyes were the color of old blood. She wore robes of deep crimson that seemed to shift and flow like living shadows. When she saw Marcus, her face transformed with an expression of pure joy. "Beloved," she said, rising from her seat with inhuman grace. "Finally, you have come home to me." Marcus stopped walking. "I think you have the wrong guy." The woman moved toward him with steps that barely seemed to touch the ground. "You are Marcus Webb, born on Earth in the year 2247, stationed on Colony Outpost Meridian until recently transferred to cargo operations?" "Yeah, but..." "Then there is no mistake." She reached out as if to touch his face, but Marcus stepped back instinctively. Hurt flickered across her features. "You do not remember me?" "Lady, I've never seen you before in my life." The protocol officer cleared his throat. "Mr. Webb, this is Lady Nevarra of House Crimson, representing the Sanguine Collective. She has filed a formal claim of marriage bond with the Galactic Union, naming you as her legal spouse." Marcus felt the blood drain from his face. "That's impossible." Lady Nevarra's expression softened with what appeared to be genuine sadness. "I understand this must be shocking. Perhaps we should speak privately?" "Perhaps you should explain what kind of scam you're running," Marcus shot back. One of the clique delegates clicked its mandibles in what the translation software rendered as amusement. The Vorlith representative chimed in with a voice like glass bells. "The claim appears legitimate according to our records. A marriage bond was registered 17 years ago." 17 years? Marcus did the math quickly. "I would have been 12 years old." "Technically 13, Nevarra corrected gently. "Though I understand human development differs from my own species. Among my people, it is common to arrange such bonds early, to be formalized when both parties reach maturity." Marcus looked around the room desperately. "Someone want to tell me how an alien I've never met can just claim we're married?" The protocol officer shuffled through his tablet. "According to Galactic Union law, marriage bonds filed by registered species are recognized across all member worlds. The Sanguine Collective joined the Union 20 years ago. Their cultural practices include long-term bonding arrangements that I don't care about their cultural practices." Marcus interrupted. "I never agreed to marry anyone." Nevarra's composure finally cracked. "You saved my life. Do you truly not remember?" The room fell silent. Marcus stared at her, searching his memory. 13 years old would have been during the food riots on Earth, before his family evacuated to the colonies. Those years were a blur of hunger and fear and crowded shelters. "I don't know what you're talking about," he said quietly. Nevarra closed her eyes. When she opened them again, they glistened with something that might have been tears. "I was dying. My ship had crashed in your planet's southern continent. The sun there, It burns my kind. I took shelter in the ruins of an old building, but I was too weak to hunt, too weak to escape. Then you found me. A fragment of memory stirred in Marcus's mind. An abandoned warehouse. Something moving in the shadows. His younger self, scavenging for anything useful, stumbling upon a figure huddled in the darkest corner. You gave me your food, Nivara continued. Your water. You returned each night for 3 days, until my strength returned enough to repair my communicator. When I asked how I could repay such kindness, you said you wanted to see the stars. She smiled sadly. So I promised that one day, when you were grown, I would take you with me, that we would explore the galaxy together. In my culture, such a promise between two souls is sacred. It is marriage. Marcus felt like the floor had dropped away beneath him. He did remember something. A woman who didn't look quite human, who spoke in a strange accent, who had seemed so impossibly beautiful and mysterious to his adolescent mind. He had thought it was a dream, a hallucination born of malnutrition and stress. That was real? He whispered. Every moment, Nivara replied. The Vorlith delegate chimed again. The question remains whether Mr. Webb wishes to honor this bond. Galactic law cannot force marriage without consent from both parties. All eyes turned to Marcus. He looked at Nivara, really looked at her for the first time. Behind the alien features, behind the supernatural grace, he saw genuine emotion. Whatever else she might be, she believed in this bond completely. What exactly are your people? He asked. We are called many things, Nivara said. Blood drinkers. Night walkers. Your human legends would call us vampires, though that word carries much darkness. We are a species that evolved to consume certain proteins found in the vital fluids of other beings. We are also long-lived, resistant to most diseases, and capable of surviving in environments that would kill most species. But you burn in sunlight. Certain wavelengths cause us pain, yes. Earth's sun is particularly harsh. Most worlds in the galaxy have stars less aggressive to our biology. Marcus rubbed his face with both hands. This was insane. Everything about this situation violated common sense. Yet the memory of that scared kid in the warehouse, promising anything to the mysterious woman who treated him with such kindness, felt suddenly very real. If I agree to this, he said slowly, what does it actually mean? Hope flickered in Nivara's eyes. By the laws of my people, we would be bound as partners. You would have full rights within House Crimson, including access to our territories, resources, and knowledge. I would be honor-bound to protect you, provide for you, and remain faithful to our union. And if I refuse? The hope dimmed. Then I would be shamed before my house, but you would be free to live as you choose. I would not pursue the matter further. The click delegate clicked rapidly. Before you decide, Mr. Webb, you should know that marriage to a sanguine noble carries considerable advantages. House Crimson controls 7 systems and has defensive pacts with a dozen more. As a spouse, you would never want for anything. I'm not making this decision based on money, Marcus said sharply. He turned back to Nivara. Why did you wait 17 years? I could not return sooner, she said. My house was embroiled in political conflicts. When I finally secured my position and the freedom to act, I searched for you immediately. I have thought of you every cycle, beloved. I have honored our promise in my heart, even when I feared I might never find you again. Marcus saw the truth in her face. Whatever cultural differences existed between them, her feelings were genuine. She had waited for him, searched for him, held on to a promise made by a desperate child who probably hadn't understood what he was agreeing to. But then, maybe he had understood better than he thought. He remembered dreaming about the stars, about escape, about adventure beyond the gray walls of the shelter. This woman had represented all of that to his younger self. "I need time to think," he said. Navarra nodded slowly. "I understand. Take what time you require." The protocol officer stepped forward. "Mr. Webb, you can use the station's guest quarters. Lady Navarra has reserved accommodations in the diplomatic wing. We can reconvene in 48 hours?" Marcus agreed, grateful for the reprieve. But as he turned to leave, he glanced back at Navarra one more time. She stood perfectly still, watching him with those ancient eyes, and he realized something important. She was scared. Beneath all the grace and power and nobility, she was terrified that he would walk away. The next 2 days passed in a blur of research and soul-searching. Marcus learned that the Sanguit were indeed ancient, their civilization predating human spaceflight by millennia. They were respected members of the Galactic Union, known for their honor and their fierce protection of those they considered family. House Crimson in particular had a reputation for keeping its word, even when doing so cost them dearly. He also learned that refusing the marriage bond would not just shame Navarra personally. It would weaken her political position within her house, possibly costing her the rank she had fought so hard to achieve. On the 3rd day, Marcus requested a private meeting with Navarra. They met in a garden dome filled with plants from 100 worlds. Navarra sat on a bench beneath something that looked like a willow tree made of crystal strands.